Okay, testing 1, 2. Everything good? 7 o'clock, we'll call our meeting to order. Welcome everyone, and welcome everyone that's out there and our audience as well. Okay, we didn't have anything for momentary reflection this month, so we'll move on to number 2, the adoption of the agenda. So are there any additions or deletions from the agenda? Lillian, yeah, or Tracy?
Yeah, I have, on behalf of Councillor Lang Tang, she would like to add the start of the budget process.
Okay.
So I'll add that under my name for her.
Budget, okay. That's it? Paul, you had something?
Yep, I have 5, but they're relatively short. They're all relatively short. One was the Pétariché Arena closure and what that might mean for us and for our arena. Get some information on that I'd like to share. Secondly, an update on the dog park issue that I brought forth to council in May. Third one was a question, really. It pertains to the Glencore work now and what that effect it might or might not have on our tax base. So that's a pretty good question someone might be able to answer. And the last 2 are basically acknowledgements, the first one being teachers and students heading back to school. And the last one is the National Acadian Day from this last Saturday.
Okay. Okay, so we need motion 17-110 to adopt the agenda with the amended changes. Mover and the seconder, please.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'll move that the agenda be adopted as amended.
Second.
Tracy, questions? On the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against, nay? Motion carried. Okay, anyone with a conflict of interest in the agenda? Okay, if not, we'll move on to motion 17-111, the minutes of the Committee of Whole Council meeting July 13th and regular meeting of July 20th. And the minutes of the 13th, Landon did send out to us today, so everybody's got them in their package.
Okay. I'll move that the minutes of the Committee of Whole Council meeting of July 13th, 2020, and the regular minutes of July 20th, 2020 be adopted as presented.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Questions? No questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against, nay? Motion carried. Any business arising from the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I had made a statement about my disappointment with the potential cancellation of Maritime Iron Project. And I guess some of the information that came across that evening was that the report of the Transition Committee, because I had asked where they were on this, that we were on the cusp of receiving that report. Now, I haven't heard anything, so I'm not sure if you or if CAOD would know any more, or are we still where we were a month ago with respect to that report?
Yeah, well, that report has been done and it's been sent to the province. We haven't heard anything back. I spoke to Denny Carroll just last week, and he hasn't heard anything back from the province on the report yet. And now with the election being called today, I don't imagine we'll hear anything for a bit. But we will follow up on it, see what takes place.
I hope they use some aggressive language with the reference to Maritime Iron, because I still have a hard time to swallow that one. I think that was such a good project from so many different perspectives, and I never like to refer to anything as a savior project, but if ever there was one, this one would have been it. And I think it's a very justifiable one, and I think that there's no way that we should let that ball roll away from us just yet. And if in fact, I'm not aware that an election was called today, although
Yeah, there was, yeah.
I could see it coming. By the way, what's the date?
The
14th of
14th
September.
of September, not even a month.
Okay, well, when those buses come cruising through Beldoon, we'll acknowledge our presence.
It doesn't look like there's going to be any buses. It's going to be a different type of
I think it's
election.
going to be mostly a television, online kind
Yeah,
of campaign,
That's from what I
yeah.
can see.
Yeah. On that same note, I had also asked where Mr. Arsenault was in the whole process, because we had.
Yeah, and I've reached out to Donald Arsenault. I
Yeah.
have not heard back from him just
Okay.
yet. So I'll do another circle around. But yeah, I did just want to, I did ask for a quick update on where we were with
Yeah,
the different things he was working on. So I haven't heard back just
Okay,
yet.
thanks.
Okay. So we'll move on to statements by member of council, and we'll start with you, Paul.
Okay, so the first one I have, and I wanted to bring this forward now because I think before the next regular meeting, the guys from the arena should be starting to do some of the work in the building. And so some people out there may not know this, but the Petit-Rocher Arena is closed this year. It's not opening at all. And the reason it's not opening is because they're doing some renovations. And they decided that this year was probably the best year if they were ever going to do it, that this is the year that they were going to do it. So I think for us, this is an opportunity, a real opportunity. We have been struggling to get people in the rink for a couple of years now. And we have a rink in Petit-Rocher that's, every time I'm there, there's something going on. I mean, it's used heavily, so there are potential clients for us. And I really think that we need to make a concerted effort to go out and get some of those rentals and get some of those teams in here. And I would think that really this is a perfect time for Daryl to sort of transition into that role, because I think he needs to take a role in this. Daryl's quite good at engaging people, and he's pretty good at being able to deal with. For the years that he's been here now, he has some contacts. I think this would be a real good opportunity for him to sort of start reaching out to some of these potential ice times and get them in our building. Because at our rates per hour, there shouldn't be any question if you're a Bantam hockey team or a gentleman's hockey team with our rates that you come here rather than Casey Irving or the Civic Center in Campbellton, even Dalhousie. Dalhousie's not going to start probably until the beginning of November. And there are people chomping at the bit right now, or will in 2 or 3 weeks' time, to start playing hockey. So we should be really aggressive and proactive in going out there and start getting some clients for our rink, because we need them.
Already on it. So we've already secured one full-time, like one weekly recurring ice time, which is great. And Daryl's actually already reached out to the Minor Hockey Association, so he's trying to get any ice time. The from Beldoon to Beresford is the Bay de Chaleur Minor Hockey Association. So generally, what they were doing last year was flipping back and forth between Beresford and Petit-Roche. Those are the two arenas that they were primarily using. So we've reached out to them, let them know that if there's any scheduling conflicts or anything like that, we're available and we're actively pursuing that. So I am very happy, and Daryl's been pretty diligent to make sure that he's chasing up those leads. So we have secured one, and to be honest with you, I want to say we've actually secured two. But I know positively we've secured one. But also, there's more people that are just kind of gradually learning that the arena's closed, so we're starting to see a little bit more of action around our arena. But you're absolutely right. We're pretty diligent to chase all that up and try to recover as many times in our arena as we possibly can.
And just one follow-up suggestion I would make too. Beldoon opens earlier than almost every other ice time in the region, except the KC Irving Center, because they've got the Titan in there practicing. But we get a lot of ice time rentals in September and October. Where we tend to lose them is at the beginning of November when other ice times are opening. So I would make the suggestion perhaps that we maybe negotiate some deals and offer some deals up front where we say to these people, if you stay at our rink, well, this is the kind of deal that we're going to give you. So that way we don't lose those rentals in November, December, and January, but we keep them. There are some who aren't going to stay, but there might be some, especially some gentlemen's ice times, who would say, you know what, that's a pretty good deal. If you've given us that for the year or for 3 months or until Christmas, we might stay.
Just a question. Is it safe to assume that for a typical ice time where you would maybe use one dressing room, you'll now use two? Or if you normally use two, you'll use four? And obviously, if there's a game, you'll probably use all four dressing rooms that are available, and you'll have to assume an hour between rentals from the time one team gets off, or one group gets off and the next one gets on.
Great questions. I think maybe we should recruit you to help us build our operational plan, because those are all items that we have to have in it. So just so council's aware, this is kind of high on the radar right now because the arena, the boys are expected to be in there for the beginning of September, and we are aiming to open it for mid-September. So Daryl and I are working on an operational plan right now. Our target is to have that done for Friday. We've already done a risk assessment in the arena. So there's quite a lot. Immediately, as soon as it was released that arenas could be open, any municipality that had an arena was provided with some very preliminary framework from public safety about some of the things. There's a lot that needs to be done. So I've already had a sit-down meeting with Steve from the arena to give him an idea of what we're looking at. The boys are going to be in there 2 weeks prior to the beginning. There's a lot to do. Daryl's probably going to be recruited, and then possibly Public Works as well to get. You're exactly right. The spacing in the dressing room, they need to be marked out. The workers are aware that there's going to be a little bit more involvement in. We need to have a record. Everyone that comes in, the gentlemen's leagues, they need to be able to provide a record. The figure skating club needs to be able to provide a record of who is there on every night, and the staff have to have that maintained in a log. There's going to be quite a bit of involvement, a little bit more so. On top of that, if you recall, we're also evaluating the hours that we're putting out there. So that's something else that we're continually working on, and I think we've just about have nailed down right now. So a lot of moving parts in it. You'll get that information. I expect you to get probably inundated with that on sometime Friday, because we're expecting to have our operational plan together and over. And I do expect that it's going to be pretty heavily scrutinized, right? I do expect that we're going to get a couple of visits in. So it's going to be. It's going to be, we're going to be falling into the same pattern that we did with a lot of the other stuff. It's going to be a kind of a hurry up and wait. We're going to be getting information, and I know from our network of municipal administrators, a lot of municipalities are asking the same question. How are you doing this? How are you managing that? So we're really going to have to depend on one another to kind of build this up. So great questions. You're going to get a lot of answers in the coming days.
Okay, thank you, Landon and Nick. Okay, Paul, next item.
Okay, so the next item was the dog park issue that I brought forward in May or June. So since then, just to give an update to the people out there who are listening as to what's happened since then. And for those who aren't aware, I brought forth a possible proposal to council to consider perhaps creating a dog park in the village and use the model that they use at Darlington and Dalhousie, where they transformed their baseball field into a dog park. Very successful. All-season park. It's being used all the time. If you go up there any time of the day, it's being used. It's a wonderful idea and something that I thought and think that we should have here. So after that meeting, I had a conversation with Marina Guitar. Now, Marina and I go back a long way. We've known each other since grade 10, and we graduated together at DRHS, been friends all during that time. Wonderful lady, smart lady, who helped organize the dog park in Darlington with some people who had like-minded interest. And so we had a couple of conversations, very helpful on their approach there, which is a community citizen-based approach as opposed to a municipal approach. So after having a conversation with her, the next step now is through this winter and sooner rather than later, I'm going to try and put together a committee that would be interested, a number of citizens who would be interested in sitting on this committee, as they have in Dalhousie, to work on a proposal, to work on an idea that could be brought forth to council in a more formal way. We would model it again after the way they do it in Dalhousie. It's successful there. It works there. It works for the municipality. It works for the people. It's well done. It's organized. And Marina has volunteered to come and speak to the committee once it's organized, and I'm going to take her up on that. And so that's the plan, to slowly and gradually progress this to the point where we have a committee that will have all its ducks in a row before bringing it to the council of the day. And that's where we stand. So if you're out there and you're listening, and if you're interested in being a part of this committee or knowing more about it, if you want to email me, my email address is on the messenger, or you can message me on Facebook. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can.
Okay, next.
So the next one was just wondering today, we're coming upon budget talks, and so, you know, the assumption was that we would be losing X amount of dollars from Glencore in the next budget. And I was just wondering if Glencore has started some work again, even if it's not production, but has started some work again, and the buildings are there, and most of the stuff that was there pre-closure is there, does that change the tax base that we'll be receiving towards the next budget? In other words, does it change in any way because of the work that is going to be happening?
We'd have to check on that for sure, Paul. I don't know for sure, but I would think so, because they're going to be back into production for anywhere from 2 to 4 months. It's a much smaller scale of production, so it wouldn't go back to the full amount it was before. But I would think, the province would assess that, and if and when they do start up, then that would have an effect on the tax base for whatever number of months that they are operating.
Okay. Well, that would be positive. Any help that we can get in that regard would be welcomed for sure. Okay, so that was a question I had, and if it works out that way, then that's a positive outcome. The last two were acknowledgements, and this one it's an acknowledgement plus, and it has to do with students heading back to school and teachers heading back to school in the next couple of weeks. And first, I want to acknowledge our summer students that we've had here in the village. They're almost finished, and most of them are heading back to school, if not all. So we want to congratulate them and thank them for the work that they've done. And to all the other students, too, in the area who are heading back to school. And I had a brief, not a conversation, but a back and forth in terms of messaging with Principal Glazier. And it seems to me that it's going to be a very interesting few weeks in September, the beginning of September, to say the least, how this is all going to go. But I just mentioned to him that if there was anything that he thought, you know, because the first week of September, I've been through these enough times to know that the first week of September in a normal year, you have administration finding things that they need or finding things that, oh, you know, we could use some help with this. So I mentioned and will mention to Trevor that if there is anything right away that they need, that they can perhaps get in touch with CAO Lee, because this is going to be an extremely different year. And the administrators in all the schools are going to absolutely earn their money this year. It's going to be, you know, even if everything goes extremely well, and we hope it does, and we assume that it will, it's still going to be completely different, uncharted waters. And if we can be of any help to them, you know, we pass that on. So good luck, and to our teachers and students, have a great year. Be well and be safe, and hope everything goes extremely well.
Okay, that it, Paul?
Oh, just a comment. I've had a few young, very energetic school-age students working at the garden back there, and from my perspective, I kind of hope that school never starts again. It's going to add extra work for me, and I'm going to miss those kids for sure.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Okay, Tracy, you're up.
I had one more, Joe.
Oh, you have one more, okay.
It was just, don't want to forget, on this past Saturday, the National Acadian Day. The history of the Acadians is as rich as any. And what they add to the fabric of not only our regional culture, but provincially and nationally, just tremendous people with a tremendous history, a tremendous amount of pride, and they celebrated their holiday on Saturday. And we here in Beldoon also have a significant segment who see themselves as Acadians. We want to wish them a belated National Acadian Day as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Okay, Tracy, you're up.
Councillor Langtang is away, but she would like to get the process of the budget started in September, so she asked me to bring it forward. She is proposing 2 dates. She's in isolation until, I believe, the 13th of September, when she returns. So she's suggested 2 options. One is September 8th by video conference, and the other is September 15th in person. Both would be at 6 p.m., so I'm looking for some feedback on that, and then I'll present a motion to go forward with whatever date is better for you. So does it, what sits better with all of you?
September 8th will work for me. I don't know if anybody else is good with that or not.
I guess there was still some, I'm not sure if it's been resolved, but there was some speculation as to what format of budgeting we were going to do, and that's probably something that needs to be determined. We can probably use those dates no matter what we do.
Sure, yeah.
But obviously, one format that was proposed is going to take a significant more amount of time than the traditional way that, the traditional method that we've used. For sure, I'm not going to make the determination which one it's going to be, but I think we probably have to be mindful of the 2 possibilities, because I don't think that was resolved to to the complete satisfaction of everybody yet.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but budget.
You can check. Why don't, I can make the motion that we start the process by video conference on September 8th, followed by an in-person meeting on September 15th.
Can I just add something to, I know the last meeting that we were here, when we were speaking about that topic, talked about the tax base, what it was going to be. If we get together on September 8th, or whenever that first meeting is, if we don't have an accurate amount, we don't know exactly how much we're losing, if we're losing anything at all, what do we accomplish at those meetings?
Well, we will know, and a lot of the stuff that we have in our budget will, we can start on anyway, even without the final figure. But from information that Brenda's already got from the province, it looks like we're going to be about $308,000 less. So if we start the budget with that figure in mind, then I think we can accomplish a fair amount, and if it changes, we can change the budget. It's going to take a number of meetings before we get it all put together anyway.
And there's a number of static numbers that don't change from year to year, so those are all things that we can look at while, if we don't have the numbers from the province quite yet.
Just a question on the timing. Is this supposed to be our COW? Yeah, Committee of Whole meeting?
No, it's, we would have a separate,
There'll be a separate budget meeting.
budget
But on the
meeting.
same night?
Just let me
Because-
check. No, September 8th is a Tuesday. Oh, that would be our meeting, wouldn't it?
It would be, yes,
Yeah,
because Monday is a holiday.
yeah, Monday is a holiday. That's the date that she gave me, so. Okay, well, why don't we say the 9th? Yep, September 9th by video. You can't do the, okay, why don't we just go with September 15th in person then? Can we do that?
We can still use September the 8th,
Yeah.
depending on what kind of an agenda we have for the Committee of Whole. If everybody keeps in mind that we are doing a budget meeting or beginning budget deliberations that evening, then we can probably keep that in mind before we bring forward agenda items.
Yeah, and again, CIO, you talked about possibly Lillian calling in. So if we were already here on the 8th for our COW, and she called in after we were done, we could spend, and, our COWs aren't that long. So maybe once the meeting itself is done, then we could follow up with the budget, at least the preliminary meeting, and she could call in or video in, Skype in with us or FaceTime or whatever, because she will still be in isolation at that point. So that's why she suggested the video time. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, I'm going to propose that September 9th, in person, or 8th, sorry, yep, thank you, after the COW. So whatever time that may be, so immediately following the COW. And Lillian will video in with us, and then September 15th in person at 6 p.m. So I will make that motion, that we meet for the start of the budget process.
Okay, it was moved by Tracy. We need a seconder.
Mr. Mayor, I'll say.
Second by Nick. Questions? On the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you, that's it for me.
Okay. Okay. Oops. Move down to administration report, CAO Lee.
The first item for me is our residential grant application and report. We received in 2 grant applications for the month, so we'll need the motion to pay out those 2 applications.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that in accordance with the Village of Beldoon Economic Development Bylaw number ED-01-2019 and the residential grant policy. Council accepts CAO Lee's recommendation and approve the following grants to Pauline O'Brien in the amount of $1,087.50 and Emily Legacy in the amount of $1,415.
Second.
Second by Tracy. Questions? On the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Motion carried.
Okay, my next item is for an audio-video upgrade to this room. Just a little bit of background, just so council is aware. When my understanding with the Phase 1 construction was that when this room was being designed, council did not have the accessibility. They didn't have the allowance to be able to call in for council meetings. That subsequently was approved later on after the construction and the design and everything. So now that the Local Governance Act has allowed for that, the audio video in this room can be retrofitted to allow for remote access. So I've reached out to the company that installed all the software. I do work really closely with them on getting things like our live streaming and different stuff set up. So they've provided the attached quote that went out to council. So if council would like to see that upgrade done, the cost as quoted was $10,932.50.
Okay, so we need motion 20-113. Mover and a seconder, please.
I'll move that Beldoon Council approve the cost of upgrades to the council chambers for the required components and programming to add remote attendance to the council chambers as per the quote from Ivans AV for the cost of $10,932.50.
Seconder?
For discussion purposes, I'll second it.
Okay, second by Nick. Okay, questions?
So what does this all involve then? What, at the end of the project, if we go through with it, what do we get?
So what will happen, as an example, tonight, Councillor Carmichael was not able to attend. She's out of province. The added components would allow for video conferencing so that she would be able to call in through video conferencing. You would be able to see her. We would be able to see her. She would be able to see us. You would be able to communicate. It would allow for that. There was a small description that Ivan's Audio put over. It also through that video capability, the different applications, either the Zoom or the Google Hangouts or the Microsoft Teams that we use for that video conferencing capability, that's all integratable into it. So essentially what it's doing is it allows for councillors to be able to video conference in or phone conference in to be able to attend the meetings remotely. This essentially is kind of what you're getting.
Okay. So if something happens and we get a second wave and we can't meet like we did before, would we go through that kind of a system or no? Would we continue on with the way that we did it?
We could. We could go through that system if we wished to.
Yeah, I believe in a situation like that, we would have to, in order to live stream, we would have to have one person here.
Here, right? Okay.
We would only need to have one person here, but then the rest of council would be able to attend remotely.
Okay.
Nick, were you done, Tracy? Sorry.
No, I'm done. Sorry, yeah.
This would be strictly for the benefit of councillors, right? Strictly for the benefit of councillors. I think we have to remember that from time to time, it's inevitable that a councillor will miss a meeting. Life in the village still goes on. And councillors have the right to miss a meeting for good reasons from time to time. And it's always been that way. And I don't know, I think, you know, we're probably going to propose some belt-tightening measures when we start the budgetary process. I might miss those meetings. And from a village perspective, $10,000 is not a lot, but at the same time, it could be a lot. It is a lot. And so I kind of have some reservations, and I think it's also important that councillors remember that, you know, it's not necessary that they make every meeting, and it's understandable that they miss a few. And you don't have to feel badly about missing a few meetings. It happens to everybody, and life will still go on.
I think, Nick, under the Municipalities Act now, though, we have to provide that option to councillors if that's the way they want to do. A councillor wants to participate because they're going to be away and they want to participate. It's in the municipality, in the Local Governments Act, that they can participate that way. So it's up to the municipality to get the equipment to allow them to do that. So that's one of the other reasons as well.
Okay, so just for clarification, then, we're not debating whether we're going to have it or not, we're just debating on this particular proposal.
Well, we are kind of debating whether we want to do it or not. I mean, that's open there as well, but it does say under the Local Governments Act that councillors can participate via video conferencing or by telephone. And we had that incident before where Sandon wanted to do it because he was going to move away, but we couldn't accommodate him because of the fact that we didn't have the equipment.
I'm just thinking of, sorry, I was just thinking like in terms of sometimes we don't have a quorum, like tonight, I actually was supposed to be away, but I came because we weren't going to have a quorum.
Right.
But if we had this system, and the meeting would have had to have been canceled altogether. So if we had this system, I would have been able to, Lillian would have been able to, perhaps Sandon, I'm not sure. And it would really reduce the chances of not having quorum some meetings. And that has happened to us.
Yeah, it has. We have
Yeah.
canceled meetings. Lenny?
I found it was a pretty hefty price tag for what we were getting. I've only sole sourced this. I went to the person who, so maybe it's worthwhile to see if there's other people out there, or other companies that can provide the capability. It would be nice to get this done sooner than later, for sure. But I could do the legwork there, because it is a pretty hefty price tag.
I would think that if we're obligated to provide it, then the price is probably fair, although I don't know a whole lot about this. This is way out of my realm. If we were obligated to provide the service, then this is probably a fair price. But if it's been soul searched, and I don't want to make you busy chasing things that might never be found. But it might well be worth the 30 days if...
And I think part of it was the fact that the other equipment that's already in here, like the cameras and the recording equipment and all this equipment, was installed by this same company. So they'll match, the equipment that they're going to give us will match what we've already got. So there'll be no, you know, whether another company can do that or not, I think they probably might be able to, but that I don't know for sure.
I don't know if by fluke you find something at half price, it would have been worth the 30 days, but if you come up empty between now and then, it's a big waste of time. So I guess that's kind of where I'm caught now.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know until I go through the process. My expectation would be that any other quote is going to come in within a hula hoops, you know, number of this one. I've worked with Ivans through the process here. They're very knowledgeable. They know what they're doing. I don't think that there's, you know, any level of, you know, gouging or anything like that. But whatever council, whatever the direction is, I can certainly.
Where's
do
this
the legwork
company
on that.
from? Where's this company from?
Moncton. Any other questions?
Well, I don't have questions. I agree with Nick, though. I think that it would be worth possibly, you know, I realize that they're the ones that did the work, so it makes sense to go to them, but again, I don't think it could hurt to put out feelers to see if there's any kind of cost differential with a different company.
Could do that too. The only thing we wouldn't get on the agenda now till October.
Could we get, I mean,
And-
yeah,
and then
could we get it in time
Lillian.
for September's meeting? I just said, could we get it in time for September's meeting?
The quote?
Yeah,
We probably could have the quote, yeah, but we wouldn't have the equipment installed for
right,
getting them to participate.
yeah.
So, but we do have confirmation that the Municipalities Act has been amended.
Oh, yeah,
That means
it was
such
amended
that
when.
This
when
is going to be a requirement, and not just in Baldoon,
Everywhere.
Maritime Iron Country, but in every other municipality in the province.
The Local Governments Act says that councillors now can participate via video conferencing or teleconferencing. So,
All right.
okay, well, on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, nay? Motion carried. 1 nay, 2 yeas. Okay.
It's our fault now, Nick.
Yeah.
You and me.
Okay, my next one is the final CCO for Phase 2. So, as I'd mentioned at previous meetings, there was the last CCO that we were expecting. So that CCO has come in at $940.30. So just so council is aware, there was a holdback that we will have to release, but that was not an added cost. That was a certain percentage of the overall project that just as general practice is retained by the owner of the project until the completion. And there is actually one small component. There was some equipment that was installed in the cafe, which was actually a separate, it was outside of the project scope. So that's been completed as well. But that was one invoice that I'd forgot to bring up. It's going to be a nominal amount. So as soon as that's received. But outside of that, for the purposes of the construction and the Phase 2, this is the final CCO specific to Genabuild. So we'll need a motion to pay this money out, and that will wrap up our Phase 2 component.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Baldoon Council approves payment to Genabuild for the final CCO for Phase 2 in a total of $940.30.
I'll second.
Questions?
Well, just a statement. I just, all the way along, I've been consistent. I said I wasn't going to say yes to any more spending on the building until we had an independent audit. We haven't there's no been confirmation of going in that direction, so I understand the necessity of the motion, but I'm going to stay consistent with what I believe should have been done and should be done, and I'm going to vote no.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, nay? Motion carried, 1 nay. Okay, clerk treasurer report we will get in September because Brenda's on holidays. So we go down to motions and resolutions. We have the motion from the Community Events Committee for the 2 events they want to put on. They're looking for $2,000 to do that. So we need motion 17115. Mover and a seconder, please.
I'll move that council approve a budget of $2,000 for 2 events for the community and shirts for the committee, August 23rd, 2020 Community Barbecue and music behind the Recreation Center, and September 6th, 2020 drive-through breakfast at the Recreation Center.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, second by Nick. Questions?
Somebody has suggested to me that maybe we could have an outdoor pub night. I don't know how that would work, but I'll see how this one goes first.
Good idea.
Let them do the dry run, and we'll take it from there.
I attended a turkey dinner type thing up at the Nash Creek Church, and they did a drive-through. And it worked fabulously. Like you just went around the church, you paid your money, they took it out to you, you drove home, it was great. So I think that'll work well.
Be hard for them to have a pub night like that.
Well, it would be hard, yes, I
Unless
agree.
you
I'm
just
thinking
kept
more
driving
along
around the
the
arena.
yeah, I'm thinking more along the lines of the breakfast, but not so much a drive-through bar.
No, a drive-through bar.
I'm sure some would appreciate it, but yeah, it wouldn't work.
We'll be putting the bricks on the siding after about the 3rd tour.
Yeah.
Okay, on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against, nay. Motion carried. Okay, correspondence. Do you have anything in correspondence?
For the correspondence in, there was the Restigouche SPCA monthly reports for July 2020. And there was the DTI Raymond Brunn letter for the municipal designated highway program for 2021 through to 2025, which we'd submitted our 5-year plan for.
Okay, thank you. That ends the correspondence. Okay, that's it. Anyone have anything else? Nick?
Just one comment, and if I can just go back to the Jenna build thing, just maybe as in response to Councillor Arsenault's remarks with respect to an audit. I think it's a good time to say that I have a great deal of confidence in the work of CAOD, and I think he kind of picked up the pieces when we shed the previous contract person who was in charge of the construction and the contracts. And so I just want to reiterate that I have a great deal of confidence in the work that CAO has done, especially since he came in kind of halfway through this project. I think he's done remarkable work, and therefore I have no problem offering a yes vote to all of his recommendations, especially when it comes to the work with Jenna Build. Those bills have to be paid, and I feel very confident that maybe where we had questions during the first half of the project before CAOD kind of took on the managerial role, those were probably very legitimate. I think we've come a long way since then, and I feel very confident that we're right where we need to be, and especially financially.
Can I respond to that, Mayor Noel? I agree. I think the phase 2 has been about as good as we could ask. But the building is the building.
Okay, no one has anything else. We'll go motion 17116, please.
I'll move to adjourn the meeting at 7:49.
Second by Nick. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against, nay. Motion carried. We're adjourned.